Very good morning, students. In today's class, let us continue and complete our poem. Which one is that? Do you remember? The Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. The Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. So in our previous class, we understood the two stanzas of the poem. The first and second stanza I explained to you. In today's class, let us move on to the third and fourth stanza. Okay. So in previous class, we learnt about a lonely girl who was reaping the crops in her field, cutting the crops in her field, which was situated on the hill at the top of the mountain, right? And what she was doing along with cutting the crops, she was singing a song. And the poet who was walking along that road, by that time he stopped there and started to listen the most melodious song which the girl was singing over there, and he says you should stop there without any movement to listen the song, or else very silently just move on from that place without disturbing her. And he also explains us here that her song was like it filled the entire environment, and her song was more melodious than the two most beautiful singing birds like nightingale and the cuckoo. So what breaks the silence of the sea? Which bird makes, or the sound of which bird breaks the silence of the sea? The sound of the bird cuckoo breaks the silence of the sea. Means you can hear the most melodious sound of the bird cuckoo during the spring season, especially to the distant place you can hear. Okay, and what welcomes the tired travelers in the deserts of Arabia? The most melodious sound of the bird nightingale welcomes the tired travelers of the desert of Arabia. So here the poet William Wordsworth tells us that her voice is so melodious. Okay, and he also understood that she was singing a sad song, because of by hearing that only he understood that she was singing a very sad song. Okay, now so this is about the explanation of two stanzas of this poem, The Solitary Reaper. Now let us move on to the third stanza. Okay, will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old unhappy far off things and battles long ago, or is it some more humbly familiar matter of today? Some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and maybe again. Will no one tell me what she sings? I do not know actually about what idea or the topic she was singing a song, because she was singing in a Scottish language. As I told you, he written this poem when he visited Scotland. Okay, there what he watched and observed about this girl, he written as the poem, The Solitary Reaper, and he did not know that language. Okay, so that's why he says here, I do not know about what she is singing, because I do not know the language. Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow. Here, plaintive means sorrowful sounding sad. What is the meaning of plaintive here? Plaintive means sorrowful song or the sounding sad. So by hearing the tone of the song only we can make out that okay, she is singing a very sad song. Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow. That means she was singing that song very sadly, or the song was about some of the greatest pain. It means it tells us about the pain she underwent. He says, for old unhappy far off things and battles long ago. Maybe the song which she was she's singing by that time is about all the troubles she faced in her life, all the sorrows she is facing in her life at present, or the unhappy moment she underwent or experienced in her past, or about the battles long ago she fought, or many number of painful situations she underwent in her past. Maybe she was thinking about that only, okay, or it is coming out through that song. He understood like that, or he thought like that, maybe, okay. Or is it some more humble lay familiar matter of today? Here, lay means narrative poem. Lay means a narrative poem. Or either she was singing about her past painful experiences, okay, a battle she fought or the pain she underwent in her past, or else she might be singing about the pain she is undergoing at present now, okay, familiar matter of today, about that she is singing. Some natural sorrows maybe, okay, sorrows or unhappiness she is having in her life, or the pain she is having in her life, maybe lost someone in her life, or the pain she is undergoing, that has been, and maybe again. So continuously she was singing there in the field while cutting the crop, he says. In the third stanza, William Wordsworth explains us about the girl and her song, and he says here that I do not know about what she is singing because I do not know the language of that girl, but I can understand that she is singing some sad song, a sorrowful song. Maybe she is remembering about the past painful experiences of her life, and it is coming out through that song. Or else she is suffering from something, some pain, some loss in her life at present, that is coming out now through that song. I do not know what exactly it is, but I can understand the song which she is singing is about some sorrow or some pain here, tells us by William Wordsworth. Stanza number 4. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work and over the sickle bending. I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore long after it was heard no more. Whatever the theme, here the poet, I already told you, he did not understand the song because he do not know the language. Okay, so he says here in his last stanza that whatever may be the theme of the song or the idea of the song, or I don't know about what she is singing, the maiden sang as if her song could have no ending, but she was singing without any ending, or and she was unstoppable. She was continuously singing that particular song. Okay, she was not stopping anywhere. I saw her singing at her work. So when the poet William Wordsworth was moving through that way, by that time he stopped by hearing her beautiful singing, right? Okay, I saw her singing at her work while reaping the crops in her field, right? And over the sickle bending. Here, sickle. What is the meaning of sickle? A short-handled farming tool with a semicircular blade used for cutting corn or trimming. Okay, usually the farmers used to cut the crops. Sickle is a tool used by the farmers. And maiden means an unmarried girl. Here, whatever the theme, the maiden sang. Maiden means an unmarried girl. An unmarried girl, she was singing a song while cutting the crops by using a sickle. What do you mean by sickle here? Sickle means it's a tool. It's a tool used by the farmers to cut the crops or trim or something to do their work in their fields. Okay, so maiden means an unmarried girl. She was continuously singing the song, and I do not know the theme of the song because I do not know the language. Here William Wordsworth says, and she was singing at her work while cutting the crops by using a sickle. I listened motionless and still. What did he do by that time? He listened her song, but she was not stopping it. She was singing endlessly without any pause or full stop. She was singing, and here the poet William Wordsworth was standing in one particular place and listening her beautiful song motionless and still means without any movement. That means he was very much attracted towards that song or her voice. Okay, and it impressed him so much that he was praising so much. Okay, and that's why he stood there one particular place while climbing to the mountain. And as I mounted up the hill, mounted means here climb. What is the meaning of mounted? Mounted means here climb. While climbing the mountain, he stood there by attracted towards the melody of the song of that young girl. Maiden means here an unmarried girl, and mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore. Then I started to move. That means here he started to climb up the mountain. He started to move on his way as she was not ready to stop her singing. So that's why he wanted to move further. So while walking or while climbing up the hill, he carried the melody of her song in his heart and in his mind. As I already told you, he was impressed by her song so much. Okay, so that's why he stood for a long period of time, heard her song, impressed by her voice, okay, attracted towards the tune of the song. He understood the sadness in that song, but did not understand the language or about what she was singing. But still he says in his last stanza that I started to climb up the mountain as she was not stopping, okay, but while moving, while going, I carried the melody of that particular song the lady was singing in her feet along with me, he says. Okay, long after it was heard no more. So as I climbed up the mountain, I did not hear that song. So he just moved on. Okay, so he stood for a long period of time there near to her, and he heard the song, and he just moved on. He started to climb up the mountain. He wanted to go somewhere, so he climbed up the mountain. He started to move, but he says here that I carried the melody of that most beautiful song along with me in my mind and in my heart. But as I moved on, and as he moved, he did not hear that song. He just left that place here. Okay, so this is about the poem The Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth. So in this poem, William Wordsworth very beautifully written the experience that he experienced when he visited Scotland, and he says at the end that that particular song of that girl attracted him so much that he carried that song in her mind, in his mind and heart. And he also compared her very beautiful voice to the sound of the most melodious singing birds. Which are they? Do you remember? The nightingale and the cuckoo. Okay, so these two birds are the most beautiful melodious singing birds, right? So, but he says here that her voice is more beautiful than these two birds. Okay, so here she is alone. She is a beautiful young girl, not married, and she was alone cutting the crops in her field, which was situated on the top of the mountain, and singing a very what is that? Very beautifully she is singing, but she was singing a sad song. Clear? And here in third stanza also what we understood today, that he did not understand the language, but he understood that it was a sad song, and he says, and he left from that place very silently by carrying the melody of her song. So this is what we learnt in our today's class, The Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. Okay, now let us see the two of the meanings I already explained to you. What is the meaning of maiden? Do you remember? Maiden means an unmarried girl. Okay, an unmarried girl. And what do you mean by a sickle? Sickle means a tool. Okay, a tool used by the farmers to cut their crops or any other trimming work in the field. They do along with this tool. Okay, sickle means a tool used by the farmers. It's like a blade. Okay, so who is the poet of this poem? Do you remember? Just now I said, who is the poet of this poem, The Solitary Reaper? William Wordsworth. So I hope all of you have understood the summary of this poem, The Solitary Reaper. Such a beautiful poem written by William Wordsworth. Thank you for watching.